Today on What's Next.
I love it. I love the feel of being healthy. I just can't stop now because I know I won't feel good if I don't. It's just so important for your health.
From 80 on has probably been the best years of my life. Doing these extreme adventures are keeping me happy and alive.
It's still as exciting as it was when I was 20 years old when I started. I've been doing it for 62 years.
Hello and welcome to Growing Boulder's What's Next. I'm Mark Middleton, and you don't need me to tell you that there is an ageist culture out there that wants you to believe that we should just withdraw from life as we age. But that really couldn't be further from the truth. Life is an adventure, and there are countless opportunities for all of us to jump into exciting endeavors and to do things that we love for as long as we can. And whatever that is, art, travel, music, literature, business, any number of things, including organized competitive sports. And if you think you're not an athlete, well, neither did most of the competitors who are in the National Senior Games. In fact, the majority never even started participating until they were in their 60s. Just the act of getting involved in a community that's focused on physical activity can dramatically improve the quality of your life in many ways. Better health, more friends, and amazing experiences. If you need inspiration to get off the couch and get active, look no further than Kay Glynn. She had taken decades off from competing, but as she neared the age of 50, she got back into the game, and it changed her life. Kay Glynn is a 70-year-old grandmother with 8 grandchildren and a pole vaulting shed in her backyard. A former Iowa high school superstar, Kay held the state long jump record for 30 years, and more than 50 years later, she still holds the district and the Western Iowa record. She retired from competition after high school, but decades later learned about masters track and field.
My daughter, when I was 48, she was at a track meet with me. Well, it was her track meet. It was the Iowa Games. And she said, "Look, Mom, there's old people down there. You could do this." And that's when I started. And when I was so sore the next day and for the next week, I decided I never want to be that sore again. And so that's what got me started.
She took up pole vaulting and several other events at age 50 and began setting national and world records. She was nearly unbeatable for a decade until hip dysplasia led to severe arthritis and bone-on-bone contact so painful that she needed both hips resurfaced. Recovery was slow, difficult, and painful, but recover she did. At age 68, she was inducted into the Masters Track and Field Hall of Fame, and in 2023, she set a new age group world record in the pole vault and a new American record in the pentathlon, 5 events in one day. How does it feel to be your age? Because it's not been easy. You've had some setbacks.
After having come back from surgeries, it can be done. It's not as much fun, but the doctors have told me that athletes make the best rehabbing people. They know what it's like to have to work, and they know that there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. So I just never give up. I just keep working at it.
And the work never stops. She even pole vaults in her unheated she shed in the dead of winter outside her Missouri home, where temperatures can dip into the teens.
My husband of 50 years, as of this year, he has his shed with all his tools in it, and I have my she shed. And I have a pole vault pit inside now. So he goes to his shed and plays, and I go to my shed and play. So that helps, even though in the wintertime when I go in there, my water bottle freezes. And then even along the way with my mishaps, all the doctors that I've been to for various body parts, no one has ever said you need to slow down. They've always told me, keep doing what you're doing. And I said, I know, but it's getting difficult. Keep doing what you're doing, and they won't let me stop.
Kay is not trying to defeat old age. She simply wants to feel as good as she can for as long as she can.
I started because it looked like it was fun, and I'm happy to say it's still fun, whether I win or lose that day. But I just can't stop now because I know I won't feel good if I don't. It's just so important for your health.
In many meets, Kay clears one bar and the competition is over, but no one leaves. All of her competitors stay to watch her vault until the very end.
We all are in the same boat. We're all ageless and sexless. We're just all pole vaulters, and we have our own little community, and we love to stick together, and we love to support each other.
Kay has shown that love for 17 consecutive years when she sends her friends and fellow competitors her now highly anticipated one-of-a-kind holiday greeting card. For the record, this is how close she came to setting another world record. Kay Glynn may be the greatest all-around over 70 female athlete who ever lived. That's due in small part to her athletic ability and in large part to her ability to adapt, endure, and overcome.
I love it. I love the feel of being healthy, and that's why even when I'm tired and I don't want to do it that day, I still do something because I know I'll feel better afterwards. It's all about the health and the people.
Yes, I will give you that Kay Glynn is a great athlete, but as she says, it's really all about the health and the people. And you don't have to be great. You don't have to be good. In fact, you can be terrible and still enjoy those very benefits. The reason that we like to do stories on older athletes is because they are smashing many of the ageist stereotypes about what life can be like as we grow older. So please don't dismiss the moral of the story just because you know that you'll never be a pole vaulter or a world champion. This story isn't about pole vaulting, and it's really not about winning. And when we do a story on an older swimmer or cyclist, the story is not about swimming or bicycling. They're all about the same things, but told through the examples of different people. And those things are discipline, friendship, and belief. We have to believe that more is possible. We have to believe that we can do things our ageist culture tells us we can't. We have to believe that we can bounce back from setbacks when others tell us we can't. And then we have to have the discipline to pursue healthy goals and to keep pushing forward. And the support and encouragement needed to do that almost always comes from those we surround ourselves with. Let's get you thinking on a little growing boulder trivia. In 2022, Maria Jagela set the world record for the oldest woman to solo skydive, not a tandem jump. How old do you think she was? Hear the answer right after the break. Welcome back to What's Next, and before the break we asked, how old do you think Maria Jagela was when she set the record for the world's oldest female solo skydiver? The answer, 84 years, 358 days, and you can see the video proof. Maria performed her jump at Skydive to Land in Central Florida, and she didn't just jump and fall. I mean, she sky danced, pirouetting, flipping, and spinning, and she told us afterwards it's a feeling of creative freedom that she just can't get anywhere else. And if you think it's too late to create an active, outdoorsy What's Next, you need to meet Dale Sanders. He's the oldest person to paddle the Mississippi, to hike the Appalachian Trail, to finish the Missouri River Race, and to complete the Florida National Scenic Trail. It's kind of a quadrathlon of adventure. Bill Schaefer recently spoke with this 87-year-old to learn how life after 80 can be great and how we can get some of what he's got.
From 80 on has probably been the best years of my life. Man, I feel so inspired with life. The adrenaline just flows through me. I believe that getting out there and pushing myself and doing these extreme adventures are what's probably keeping me happy and alive.
So help us out, Dale. What can we learn from you? What can we do to be like you as we age?
I focus on three things. You have to live happy. No one can tell you the formula for how to live happy. It's something just has to come from one's heart. And it doesn't matter what age it is. You got to live happy. And then, of course, the next one I think is you have to have a quality spiritual life. And I'm not pushing any specific type of religion, but I'm saying it needs to be a real quality spiritual life that you can really get your teeth into. And if you want to be really happy, do that, and that really then puts the icing on the cake for happiness. And then the third thing is have to be active. And I'm telling you, I am active, and you have to get out of the chair. You have to get out of the house. You have to get outside and do. I'm not knocking the gym. The gym is good, but it's so much better to do those exercises and things that raise your heart rate, that get your adrenaline up. It's much better to do those out in nature than it is, in my opinion, inside the facility. And there's so many things we can do in nature. We can hike, we can swim, we can bike, we can spearfish, we can do rock climbing. There's hundreds of things out there. Find your niche and get out there and start doing it. Stretch your limits. You'll never know what your potentials are unless you try. And I'm telling you, you have to find and maintain happiness in your life. And if you can figure that out, I think you can deal with anything that the world can throw at you.
Man, I love every bit of that. How often do you hear someone say, 80 has been the best years of my life? Here's the truth. We hear it all the time. In fact, we've heard it more times than I can remember. We have heard the 90s have been the greatest decade of my life more times than I can remember. These are things that we just didn't hear 20 years ago. Dale Sanders is as unique as we all are, but he's far from alone. He is one of the many faces of the changing culture of aging. It's why we seek out people like him, because they've learned what's important to them and they know how to go get it. And Dale's advice is spot on. Happiness represents something different for everyone. And if you're not one of the lucky ones whose happiness has found you, you got to go out and find it. And odds are you're not going to find it sitting on the couch. You have to get out of the house. And if you don't know what to do, why not take Dale's advice and take a hike? John Muir, the famous conservationist known as the patron saint of the American wilderness and also the father of the national parks, said, of all the paths you take in life, make sure a few of them are dirt. Into the forest I go to lose my mind and find my soul.
Most people think that 80-year-olds ought to be sitting in a chair watching TV all day, and we are just not that way.
I have a question for you. How do you define winning? That's right, W-I-N-N-I-N-G, winning. Does it mean hoisting a trophy in celebration? Does it mean just waking up? Does it mean simply showing up? We all define winning differently. Here's how I define it. Being the best possible version of yourself. That's it. But doing it consistently, knowing that you've given it all you have. You did not forecast negativity or a demonstrative outcome. Your focus on winning was being the best you. Stepping up, showing up, and taking them up. That's right, it's in you. Go win, and go win today.
Welcome back to What's Next. I recently had the privilege of witnessing in person a world record. 8 skydivers who are all over the age of 80 came together from all over the country to try to set a new world freefall formation mark. These guys call themselves the Joes, which is an acronym for Jumpers Over 80 Society.
I am on the POPs record, the SOS record, Skydiver Over 60, and Jumpers Over 70 record. So I figured that Jumpers Over 80 would be good.
Most people think that 80-year-olds ought to be sitting in a chair watching TV all day, and we are just not that way.
It's still as exciting as it was when I was 20 years old, when I started. I've been doing it for 62 years.
We just really enjoy the freedom of falling out of the airplane and the camaraderie of making formations, and then, of course, all the socializing afterwards.
I think they all have a special something that is a need to push themselves to their limits and to never feel that they're finished. There's always more to accomplish.
The moral of the story is that you have to keep on moving, keep on doing adventures in order to stay young. So if you stop moving and stop adventuring, I think you get old.
The Joes did get it done. They set the world record that day, but their message, I think, is a whole lot bigger than skydiving. In fact, you might have noticed, none of these guys really even wanted to talk about the record. They didn't want to talk about the technique that they used, the equipment on their back. All they really wanted to talk about, the message that they wanted to share, it was all about challenge and adventure, about opportunity and, yet once again, camaraderie. Being around these guys might not make you want to take up skydiving, but it definitely will make you want to continue to challenge yourself in surprising ways. All of which brings us to our bold social clip of the day. Today's clip is in support of an earlier story about Kay Glynn, the pole vaulter, the one about the power of belief and the need for personal discipline. This clip comes from Jordan Ferrone, a guy who immerses himself in a tub of ice water and then drops a few truth bombs. In this one, he explains why discipline is so important.
Everybody says discipline is so important, but they never want to tell you why. I'll tell you why discipline is so important. It's the strongest form of self-love. It's ignoring something you want right now for something better later on. Discipline reveals the commitment you have to your dreams, especially on days where you don't want to. The future you is depending on the current you to keep the promises you made to yourself yesterday.
Most of us have extremely limiting beliefs when it comes to growing older. That's a problem because our belief system controls our behavior and to a large degree determines our future. Our challenge is made even more difficult by the fact that we're also battling social norms, which are even more powerful than personal beliefs at shaping our behavior. Social norms are the unwritten rules about how we're supposed to act. They're the conformity police providing constant cues for age-appropriate behavior. Even if we believe that aging in a certain way is possible, we likely won't act on that belief if it violates social norms. Surprisingly, those who enforce social norms on older people are most often older people themselves. Peer pressure never retires nor expires. It typically grows stronger as we age. Most of our peers not only want us to conform, they need us to conform. When we don't, we challenge their belief systems and their behaviors, which makes them uncomfortable. Growing Bolder is about breaking nearly all of the social norms that are related to aging because there is no such thing as age-appropriate behavior. It's about removing the accepted limits of possibility, which becomes more difficult as we grow older. Welcome back to What's Next, and there are no conformity police here. We encourage you to do you, to express yourself, or as Crosby, Stills, and Nash sing about in their 1973 debut album, Let Your Freak Flag Fly. And a good place to do that is on Growing Boulder's social channels, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, YouTube, and of course, Facebook. Each week, we ask our more than 1 million Facebook followers to weigh in on a thought-provoking question and then share some of our favorite answers right here on What's Next. We recently asked if your life story was turned into a book, what would the title be? Valerie says, The Best Is Yet to Be. Haved says, Rags to Riches, Never Give Up. Susan Sweet's book would be titled Adventures in Stumbling Forward. And finally, Thomas says, Retrospective Miracles Observed. These are all great titles. You guys have been thinking about writing a book. I did as well, and I actually finally did it. And of course, the title is Growing Bolder, which in part is about my life, or at least part of it. The day that I quit my job as a news and sports anchor to begin growing bolder, to confront social norms and to let my freak flag fly, to believe that more was possible, and to exercise self-discipline to make it happen. All the things we talked about today and every day here on What's Next, the lessons we learn together from ordinary people that are living extraordinary lives. And by the way, the book, Growing Bolder, is available at growingbolder.com and on Amazon. We'll see you next week.